Species displace or replace other species in extinction, so evolution may be much more merciless than Kevin Kelly suggested.
What I said was replace, not kill off or cause extinction. Yes, obviously, there are many examples of extinctions, and a lot of them even in terms of deliberate extinctions brought about humans. What I was talking about was replacement. When the humans killed off the megafauna, they weren't displacing them, replacing them. They weren't trying to be mastodons and mammoths. And so what I was talking about was the phenomena where you have a species replace an existing species and substitute for it. That doesn't happen very often.
The actual truth is, I think, that in an ecosystem, if one species disappears, there's a niche left, which another species often evolves very quickly to fill. So it's a very natural process.
Bill?
If all human intelligence were to be implanted into a computational system, wouldn't that constitute God?
I'm not quite sure where God came into the picture, but it was a question of many intelligences simultaneously cohabiting in the same hardware, something like that.
Well, there's some practical considerations in your proposal. But as the sort of substrates with which we can represent intelligence grow more powerful in this century and beyond this next century, we will be able to have multiple intelligences cohabiting. We have multiple intelligent processes in our brains right now. I don't think it follows if you were to capture millions, billions of human brains and one substrate that you have God. I don't know that all of humanity represents God. All of humanity represents one enormous potential, but God is presumably infinite. I guess what this inspires in me is the following sort of connection of this discussion to spirituality, which is, in my mind, evolution is a spiritual process because it's growing exponentially more capable and more powerful. If we just look at biological evolution, entities become more beautiful, they become more intelligent over time, more sophisticated, more complicated. And what have we called God? God is all-knowing. God is infinite intelligence, infinite beauty, infinite creativity. And evolution creates entities that become exponentially greater in those qualities, but never really reaching infinite capability. So evolution moves towards our concept of this ideal of God, which is to say in a spiritual direction, but never really achieving the ideal of God. But, however, Hans and my formulas differ on this point.
I don't really even know what to say in that direction. But before we're all inside the same computer matrix, of course, we may all be tied together through the internet, and I think you can see that empowers us somewhat, but we're not going to become omnipotent because of that.
I think that we're going to take 5 extra minutes. 5 minutes. It's 5:30 now. I will take 5 minutes because we started a little bit late. Orange shirt?
I have a question about the distribution of these technologies. Don't you think the affluent will benefit from these new developments, while the non-affluent will not?
Well, I think today we have a model of manufacturing which says that you make things in very large manufacturing plants. And after you have made things in very large manufacturing plants, you then ship them by car or truck or boat or whatever to the place where they're actually used. Now, as we look forward into the future, it looks as though we will have a model of manufacturing which is much more distributed. In other words, we push the manufacturing down to the neighborhood level, down to the household level, where you can have a device which would manufacture products for you, and that this device would make things that you wanted. And furthermore, one of the things that this device could make, it would presumably be a boxy device that would sit on your kitchen table and be a kitchen appliance. One of the things that this device could make, it would have a menu of things you could make, would be another box. As a consequence, you can hand this box to your neighbor, and if it has a fixed list of things that it can manufacture, which are good and useful things generally recognized as safe, then this box could readily be made available to a fairly large population, providing a great abundance of those things which the box could make, which would presumably include food and solar cells and other basic things that would be useful. So I think as we see a shift from centralized manufacturing to a more distributed model of manufacturing, it will become clearer that we can have an availability and an abundance which is available to a larger number of people.
Can I also say that our existing systems are mostly about 99% inefficient, and by re-engineering them along the lines of the stuff in the book Natural Capitalism by Amory and Hunter Lovins and Paul Hawken, we could do this without all the dangers of these new technologies.
Yes.
How do we deal with the potential threat that a robot thinks certain entities do not exist and therefore are ignorable?
In fact, I worry about robots getting strange beliefs by accident. And for a set of tame robots that in fact operate an industry that supports us, who are supposed to think a certain way and occasionally may fail to think so, I suggest there should be a policing system of the robots among themselves. Basically, fully automated companies act against companies that act illegally. And so I think it's certainly possible for machines to go crazy, just like people. And then you have police. Well, people tell people too.
Black hat.
Will spiritual robots replace cyborgs in 2100?
Well, it's just a question of how much biology there is in our descendants, and I think, in fact, biotechnologies or even new ones or originated from existing organisms will become just one technology among many, and it'll be a technical question as to what you want to be implemented in.
Well, I think everything we've been talking about is derivative of humanity, and I think humanity will exist in 2100, but it will be, hopefully, if we can avoid the dangers which Bill Joy eloquently brings up, and which I think is a very serious challenge. I don't think relinquishment at a broad scale is the right approach, although relinquishment of very well identified dangers is a good option. But if we can navigate our way through the 21st century, and the story of the 21st century hasn't been written yet, we will end up with humanity at 2100, which will be a much richer, and I mean that in the more profound way, society with far greater capabilities, enriching our ability to experience life in all of its diversity. Thanks.
I want to say that I think that we could go on forever. What is clear is that we cannot see very far into the future, as I think it was Einstein or maybe it was Bohr said, prediction is hard, especially of the future. So at that I think we'll close, and I hope we have stirred many thoughts.